So it's the beginning of September, and around about now you should be trimming back your lavenders. Not into wood, but just giving them a light trim, just to stop them becoming floppy, leggy, so that they're ready to go into autumn and can get away in the spring. Now, why not use some of that material that you cut back to produce plants for free? What's not to like? But maybe you think, oh, it's a bit hard to propagate lavenders, I've never tried it. But really, if you think about it, lavenders are in the same family as mint, thyme, sage, basil and rosemary. And you'll already know how many of those plants are really easy to propagate. And the same is true for lavender. So what do you need to get started? Well, we've talked about our clean pot. We have our rooting hormone compound. We have a plastic food bag. We have our potting mix. We have a very sharp knife. And secret weapon, our dibbler. So in my mind, this is one of the most important tasks when it comes to propagating, just to make sure that everything is as clean as can be. It just makes sure that it reduces rotting off, and it's really simple. It's a great way to recycle pots that you have at home. Just make sure it's thoroughly clean. Some warm soapy water, give it a good clean round. And to be honest, I've learnt the hard way. I've been lazy in the past, not cleaning my pots, and then all the hard work just goes to waste because you lose your cuttings. So it's really simple. Just rinse off and make sure you've got a clean pot ready to take your cuttings. So we can snip off some material just below a leaf joint. Make sure it's a nice clean cut, and then we strip off the lower leaves if it's possible. You can just pick them off, but sometimes because it's quite still supple, it's better to cut them off, otherwise you just end up breaking the cutting. So use your sharp knife. The reason you do that is because if the leaves are below the soil surface, they will rot off and then they'll cause your cutting to fail. So fill up our clean pot. Tap it down, just keep it nice and even. Firm it, and then that way it will keep the cuttings snug in there. And then using the dibbler, or you don't need a dibbler, you can use a pencil or anything else just to make a hole around the edge of the pot. Cuttings seem to take better if you leave them around the edge. And take our first sample, about that big. And then actually I might cut off some more leaves, because what you want to make sure is that the loss of water from the leaves is reduced until the little plant has had a chance to establish its roots. So dip that in the potting powder, hormone powder, and then just firm that in there. Do another one. Again, about 1.5 inches. Strip off the leaves. And it really is so simple. And you know, lavenders are fantastic plants. Rooting hormone. Make a hole. Firm that in. Now, all I would do is continue around the pot, put a label in, because obviously you can't tell from just looking at that if you have different cuttings what kind of lavender it was. So just put your label in. Again, make sure the label's clean. Water that. Don't over water it, because if it's wet they'll just rot, but just moist, just sufficient. And then I pop that in the food bag. Now the reason I pop it in the food bag is again to give the cutting a chance, so that it's not going to lose too much moisture through evaporation before it's had a chance to develop its roots. Now it will stay in that bag for about 2 or 3 weeks until you begin to see growth. Once you start to see that the cuttings are growing, again, don't straight away take it out of the bag. I just open it a little bit to allow it to breathe, because what you're doing is you're allowing the cutting to acclimatise to a drier climate than that it's been used to. So just open it partially for a few days, a bit more, and then eventually take it out. But always making sure that it's sufficiently moist, not wet. and then your cuttings should root. You would leave them in a bright place. I actually have a light lamp which I bought from IKEA, but just a bright place, not direct sunlight that's going to scorch them. And within a few weeks they'll have rooted, but wait for roots to come out of the bottom, and then you can pot them up and you'll have plants for next spring. Easy. So if you like this video, please click the like button, and if you'd like to make sure that you stay up to date with the latest videos on this YouTube channel, please click subscribe. That's all from Green Tips Garden.